Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Bangor. My name is Reverend Drew Moeller, and it is a pleasure to be with you here on this January, almost February Sunday, 2024. For those of you who are joining us online, we want to welcome you as well. For those of you who are visiting us today for the first or second time, we hope that you will join us after the service for I think this is a Super Sunday, so some soup and conversation along with coffee and all the other trimmings that go along with. Before we begin our service this morning, we do have some announcements, so I'm going to invite Sue McKay to come forward and offer them now.
Good morning, everybody. I want to give a special shout out to all of you who wore either your buttons or a name badge today. For new people, it is really nice if they can look and see what your name is. And for those of us who have horrible memories, like I had to go up to Bill this morning to look at his name badge so I could remember who he was. So if you could wear your name badges or your buttons, if you don't have one, see me, I'll help you get one. Lots of fun stuff going on. Drew already mentioned the Super Sunday. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a potluck. If you're here and you didn't bring anything, not a problem. Please stay and dine with us today. Upcoming, we have a game night, and for those of you who aren't familiar with that, pre-COVID, that was like really, really fun, and it's going to be really fun again. It's hosted by the Membership Fellowship Committee. It will be this Saturday, February 3rd, from 6 to 8 in the Dorothy Memorial Hall. Be aware, parking may be a little tight, so if you want to keep that in mind. Please bring snacks and beverages to share. Also, bring your favorite games from home, such as Candyland, Bananagrams, card games, and Jenga. It is an intergenerational event. In the event of a storm, we'll hold game night the following Saturday night, same time. The cancellation notice will be on the UU Facebook page. The Seal and Hersey trustee meeting that was unfortunately scheduled for today isn't really scheduled for today. It's scheduled for next Sunday at 8:45 downstairs. The worship team needs someone to serve as a secretary. So if you are up for that, see either Lori or Phyllis. That would be appreciated. The K1 OWL program orientation is next Saturday, February 3rd. It's listed in your program. It's from 10 to noon. The fee is $35, and it'll include 8 sessions led by certified OWL instructors. The Shore meeting will be next Sunday at 11:30 in the Community Cafe. Everybody's welcome. The annual auction will be coming up on April 5. So if you've never been to the auction, it's on Zoom. It's a hoot. This auction is primarily seats at tables for meals. They are amazing meals. And there's artwork that goes up for bid and a bunch of other stuff. Please think about what you might be able to donate to this auction. After the raffle was retired, this is now our largest fundraiser. So I believe that's it.
Thank you, Sue. As we get ready to enter into our time of worship together, let us just take a moment to take a deep breath, come into this space. Notice your body and what it feels like to be in this room, in this space with these people. Is it comfortable? Maybe not so. Still trying to figure out how to sit in that pew so it feels good. Relax, open your minds and your hearts, and know that each and every one of you is welcome here, just as you are.
That kind of love always gives itself away. That kind of love, wiser than the wisest sage. Its innocence makes me ashamed, till I'm not sure that I can take that kind of love. Some people never know that kind of love, though it only takes a child to show that kind of love. Widows smile and strong men weep, little ones play at his feet. The deaf can hear and blind can see that kind of love. Love triumphant, love on fire, love that humbles and inspires, love that does not hesitate, no conditions, no restraints, that kind of love, oh, that kind of love. How could anyone deny that kind of love? Every heart is measured by that kind of love. Even stars fall from the sky. Everything will fall in time, except those things that cannot die. That kind of love, oh, may you be remembered by that kind of love.
Our chalice lighter this morning is Patty Alcott. It's entitled, Let Us Look First to the Response of Love by Maureen Killeran. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement, that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. Our opening hymn is number 396, I Know This Rose Will Open.
So this one, we're going to sing it around, right, Reverend? Sure. Yeah. You want some help? And too much practice will make this non-spontaneous. So, let's see. We got a 4-part round here. So I think we got, let's see, group 1 comes down to about here. Group 2 is the rest of this section. Group 3 you'll go to about here. Oh, you get to join Glenn? And group 4 and Glenn on the guitar. And let's see. This will be, I think we need to listen. I know this. I'll sing it once, and then you can. Actually, everybody sing along with me. I know this rose will open. I know my fears will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. That was brilliant. Okay, so we'll start with this group. You guys sing straight through. You know how round works. All right, here we go. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my soul will
I'd now like to invite our young people of any age to come down to our mat here for our story for all ages. So our story today comes from a country called Finland. I was actually there last spring, up above the Arctic Circle, where the sun didn't set until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Really, really long days. And this is an old folk tale. Vaughn was an older man when this story happened. He had seen many summers and winters in the cold northland of Finland. His heart had grown large and warm over his experiences through the years. That may be why he could understand the birch tree as it wept in the forest. "Why are you so sad?" he asked the birch tree. "You are so beautiful in your wonderful white silvery bark robe. You should be proud and merry." The birch tree trembled and then spoke to the old man about its trouble. "I weep because I am so small," the tree confessed. "I am small, weak, and lonely here in the forest, surrounded by all these mighty pine trees and hemlocks. They wait for summer with pleasure, but I only wait with pain and dread." "Pain?" asked the older man. "Dread?" The tree spoke again. "Yeah, you see, the children come in the summertime and they peel my bark off of my trunk to make baskets. And then older kids come and they break twigs off of my branches to make them into these stupid little brooms and brushes for sweeping. Then the adults come and they chip me away so that they have things to burn." Said the old man. "These are useful things." "But they are small and trifling," said the birch tree. "Other trees make ships and houses, but my gifts are so little. I want to bring great pleasure to many people." Vaughn was touched by the tree's lament, and with his great warm heart, he responded to the tree with some kind words. He said, "Your gifts are so useful to people, and I can understand that you want to use your gifts to bring greater joy to more people." After sitting there and thinking for a while, the man replied, "If that is truly what you want to do, I believe that I can help you. I can help you turn your grief into great joy. If you are willing to work with me, I will help bring about some changes. And then you will have to weep no more. But instead, you will soon be singing." After a brief conversation, the tree after a brief conversation and gaining the tree's permission, the older man started curving the slim white trunk of the tree into a tall harp. When that was done, he looked around and he asked himself, I've got the shape of the harp, but where can I find the strings for the harp? I need at least 5 strings to be able to make this into a true harp. So the old man started walking down the forest path, And at last he came upon a young person with long hair. A couple of you have long hair. He came up to the person slowly, so as not to frighten them. The young person was sitting there singing a love song that the old man knew very well. He walked up and said, "Oh, child, I am trying to make this birch tree into a harp, which is what it really wants to be. And for that to happen, I need your help." "How can I help?" the child responded. The older man asked, "Could you give me 5 strands of your long hair to act as strings for the harp? It will help the birch tree sing." The young person, kind of interested and fascinated at the same time, gave the older man 5 of their longest hairs off their head. The old man fastened them to the harp, and at last his task was finished. The older man could not wait to try playing this new creation, but he wanted to make the trial of the harp just right, so he selected a rock that was just the right height. And he sat down, and he took the harp into his old, rough, weathered hands and began making the first soft, gentle strokes across the strings with his fingers. What melodious music! The birch seems to ring. And the hair of the young person helps that sound reverberate and rejoice. Young people from the village heard the sound of this music, and they came flocking towards the harp. Then the parents came, and they sang and they danced with joy. Then some of the older people came, and teardrops of happiness formed in their eyes for some reason that they couldn't understand. Then some of the people began to dance, and they all sang together. Never before had they heard such beautiful music. The music continued to spread further and further. The music spread to 6 little villages nearby. Every creature hurried forth from the house to listen and dance. All the wild beasts in the forest came, and they stood upright on their claws to listen. The birds stopped flying and perched on the nearby trees. All the fish swimming in the rivers swam to the shore to listen. Even the worms in the earth came creeping above the ground to listen to the music of the birch tree. But that was not all. Even the walls and ceilings of the houses resounded. The doors creaked, the windows rejoiced, the hearthstone moved. Out of the woods, all the pine and fir trees bowed down to hear the harp, and the leaves of the trees blew gently across the meadows. The flowers breathed fragrance towards the music, and the young shoots bowed too. And they sang together, "Happy birch tree, and all the world is merry because of you and your singing." And that's our story of the birch tree that became a harp. What I like about this story is it tells a little bit of what we do here in our beloved community, right? This birch tree wanted to be something more. It wanted to grow into a different way of being. And this old man listened to the harp, helped the harp, talked to the harp, got permission from the harp to see if the harp really wanted, or the birch tree really wanted to become a harp, and finally was able to offer some help in making that happen. He also recruited some other people, the young person with the long hair to make the strings, and then the people in the community and the birds and the wilderness, everything that came to support the birch tree living into its dream of bringing great pleasure to all people. Yeah. You've got a question, yeah. The old man did not ask the birch tree for ID. I think that its bark is probably enough of an ID for a tree.
Also, even the littlest things can bring the biggest things. You don't have to have, even a basket can bring the biggest joys.
Yeah, so that's a good observation. He was pointing out, I would just want to share so other people know what you're saying. You're saying that, even a basket that's made out of the birch tree bark could also bring some people great joy. Yeah, yeah.
It can be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
We can do many things with that.
Yep, and we can do many things with it. So that could have been a different direction of the story where maybe the old man could have, said, well, doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but he did do that a little bit of kind of saying, well, these are important things. But he listened to what the harp wanted, not trying to convince the harp to be something that it didn't want to be.
Well, you can always be whatever you want to be, but sometimes you just have to wait. Sometimes it doesn't just take time.
Sometimes it takes time to become what you want to be.
It doesn't just take time, it takes everything you need. Honor, health and care, kindness, knowledge, all of that.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that that's a lot of what the old man shared. He's saying it takes a lot of love and kindness and compassion and help to be able sometimes to transform. To be what you want to be, and it takes time. So yeah, good. Anybody else have an observation or a way that they kind of connected with that story or a question about this story? No? Well, with that, I think we should all sing together and send you down to your spiritual exploration classes so you can be what you want to be. And if you want to be here in the sanctuary with your parents, you can also do that. Please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Great universal spirit, interconnected web of which we are part, we gather in this sacred space at this holy time to hold up the joys and sorrows that have been expressed here. We hold those in our community who are healing from the loss of a child, from illness, from recovering from surgeries, and discovering new ways to be able to bring comfort to their ailments through new exercises and knowledge. Spirit, we also hold with warmth the memories of marriages and songs that are familiar, that warm our heart and have perhaps a newer and even deeper meaning now that they've been sung so many times after so many years. May they continue to grow. Spirit, we gather in this time and place because we know that each life tells an important story. Each life holds a deep and abiding truth. By coming together and sharing these stories with one another, we grow closer to becoming one. We grow closer to you. Blessed be. Amen.
It's now time for our morning offertory. The half of the undesignated plate for the rest of January is going to the Bangor Public Library, where they rejoice in freedom of reading. Please be generous.
It is with gratitude that we receive this morning offering, half of which we will share with the Bangor Public Library for their continuing work. The other will go to benefit the support and continued thriving of this beloved community. Thank you.
Our reading this morning is entitled Love and Justice by the Reverend Tess Bomberger. It's based on 1 Corinthians. Love is kind with people, but impatient with injustice. Love is assertive and respectful. Love listens to the anger of those who experience oppression without responding, without defending, without interrupting, without explaining. It listens with compassion, seeking always to understand. Love is slow to anger, especially at the start or end of life, and with anyone who the world discounts. Yet anger can be part of love. Consider the force with which parents defend their young. Love fears for those it loves, for what it loves. When, who, or what it loves cannot defend itself, love rises to defend. When those it loves have the power of defense, it takes their lead with humility and courage. Love assists, empowers, and frees. Love's anger rises to meet injustice in considered ways that help correct it. Love is willing to examine itself, its thoughts, actions, and unmeditated bias. It recognizes one's power to harm or to be part of systems of harm, with or without awareness. But once aware, it can only intend to make amends, to right the wrongs, to change the systems that legislate hatred. Love is willing always to change, always to learn, always to heal. Love rejoices in truth and in equity. There is no limit to love's steady presence or its holding us gently but insistently to what is right. Blessed be.
I wanna live in the world, not inside my head. I wanna live in the world. I wanna stand and be counted with the hopeful and the willing, with the open and the strong, with the voices in the darkness, fashioning in daylight out a song, and the millions of lovers alive in the world. Wanna live in the world, not behind some wall. I wanna live in the world where I will hear if another voice should call, to the prisoner inside me, to the captive of my doubt, who among his fantasies harbors the dream of breaking out and taking his chances alive in the world. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and finally arrive in the world. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. With its beauty and its cruelty, with its heartbreak and its joy, with it constantly giving birth to life and to forces that destroy, and the infinite power of change alive in the world. To open my eyes and wake up alive in the world. To open my eyes and finally arrive in the world.
Thank you. Thank you, John. That birch tree's got nothing on you. For the last several weeks, we have been looking at the primary value of our Unitarian Universalist faith. It is a core value that is so fundamental to our liberal religious tradition that I think most of our other values would lose some of their power or their moral authority if we didn't have it. I would say that one of the best things about the Article 2 Commission, which has proposed a significant overhaul of our UU principles, is that it has drawn attention from our principles as we know them and invited us to go a little bit deeper. Why do we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person? Because we believe in love. Why do we believe in the individual responsible search for truth and meaning? Because we love knowledge and truth. And we know that absolutism and dogma can hinder the deepening of faith and science and limit these limitless forms of knowledge and wisdom? Why do we believe in democracy, peace, and justice, and the interdependent web of life? Because we believe that these values support the common good and our relationships with each other and with all living beings. Part of our work as people of faith is to create a sacred and beloved community where each diverse individual can be valued for who they are. And the only way to achieve that is through love. In our UU tradition, we often quote words of the Reverend James Vila Blake from 1894, who says, some of you might know this, "Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law." We repeat the lines that I'm learning now, are questionably attributed to the Transylvanian Unitarian martyr Francis David from 1553, who said, "We need not think alike to love alike." We incorporate love into our chalice lighting, congregational covenants, youth programming, and worship services. We use the slogan, "Side with Love," for our national social justice organizing. Love. 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 The English term love has so many meanings: romantic love, affectionate love, selfless love, obsessive love, playful love, enduring love, and even self-love. So many meanings. So it is no wonder that the word love in our language is often confusing and is used in conflicting ways. A Google search of the word love yielded over a dozen definitions of the word love, including a strong affection or for another out of kinship and personal ties, attraction based on sexual desire, affection based on adoration, benevolence, and common interests, an assurance of affection, or a warm attachment, enthusiasm, or devotion, like the love of the sea, or attachment to an object of devotion, like baseball was his first love. We use the term love to describe a beloved person as a term of endearment. We also conceive of love as unselfish, or as loyalty, or benevolent concern for another, a parental concern of God for humankind, or a familial concern for others, or a person's adoration of the divine, or an amorous episode such as a love affair. That's a lot of meaning chalked up in a 4-letter word, isn't it? Yeah. So what do we mean when we talk about love as the center of our faith and our church? What kind of love are we referring to? Is it that strong affection for another rising out of kinship? Or is it an affection rising out of admiration, or something else? Well, some of these definitions get us closer to what we mean by love in the context of our faith. I don't know if any of them hit the mark right on the spot. Religions worldwide have unique interpretations of what love looks like in relationship to faith. Some of it is conditional. If you follow God's love's instructions, then you are loved. Some are reconciling. If you don't follow God's instructions but ask for forgiveness, then you can be worthy of love. Then there's the more radical interpretations of love that come to us out of mystic traditions and our own Unitarian Universalist tradition that says goddess, spirit, sacred energy are all unconditional love, full of unwavering acceptance for what we, you, they, them, and I are loved 100% of the time, just as we are, in the moments of our imperfection, and the moments of our brilliance, and the moments of grace. Well, I believe that love is at the heart of our Unitarian Universalist faith. is the kind of love that is unconditional and based on solid affection and unselfish goodwill towards others, I also believe that my definition for spiritual love is also based on the concept of liberation, of seeing, supporting, and providing freedom to others so that they can be the best that they can be. I find this concept well articulated in the African term, as I understand it, of Ubuntu, meaning, I am what I am because of what we all are. Let me say that again. I am what I am because of who you and we all are. And that my liberation is tied up in your liberation. It means that love is not an individual experience, but a collective experience. It's an ethic of humanity to others and simultaneously to self. This expression of love is also well expressed in theologian Cornel West's famous quote, "Justice is what love looks like in public." I love that. Meaning that if we are to love each others and ourselves, we need to serve justice and work to liberate all beings. In his 1961 sermon titled "Loving Your Enemies," Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talks about the difference between loving and liking people. King says, when you rise to the level of loving all people, not because you like them, not because their ways appeal to you, not because they are worthful to you, but you love all people because God loves them. When you rise to the noble heights of loving the person who does the evil deed while hating the deed that person does. He goes on to say, I think that is what Jesus meant when he says, love your enemies. He says, I am so happy that he didn't say, like your enemies, because it's kind of difficult to like some people. Like is sentimental. Like is affectionate sort of thing. And you can't like anybody who's bombing your home or threatening your children. It's hard to like a senator who is spending all of their time in Washington standing against all the legislation that will make for better relationships and that will make for brotherhood. It's difficult to like them, but Jesus says, love them. Love is greater than like. Love is understanding, redemptive, creative, goodwill towards all people. And so Jesus was expressing something very creative when he said, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them that disrespectfully use you. His observation is so useful to understanding of love's connection to justice and justice interconnection with liberation. Understanding this helps us make sense of the struggles that are happening in the world around us. We don't have to like Hamas for the damage that they inflicted on Israel. We don't have to like Israel's disproportionate response to that attack. We don't have to like the deeds of the governor of Texas, who is treating immigrants harshly, or the state of Alabama, who just put a man to death last week using untested, inhumane methods. And I don't even know if there is such a thing as a humane method when we're talking about taking another's life. But King, in his wisdom, called us to a higher level of relationship. If our liberation is tied up in theirs, then we don't have to like the person or the deed, but we need to love that person. And sometimes that means in showing love, we have to say, stop. What you're doing is harmful. If we stop loving and demonize others as being beyond all redemption, then we harm ourselves and buy into the notion that change is not possible. I know there are people who try us, In particular, I am thinking of a former president who has been in the news lately and for many harmful deeds and crimes that he has done. The concept of that former president, I just lost my place because I'm so turned up by this. He has been in the news for so many crimes and harms against the concept of love and liberation that we seek. I'll be the first to tell you that I don't like the man, and the hard and ongoing work is trying to find a way to love the man. That's really, really difficult. Not there yet. Loving someone who bullies and abuses power is hard. Really, 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 times affinity hard. But to love him means that we need to stand up to him and say, no, no, still no. And I am sorry, but you don't belong in leadership. Your lack of remorse, your continued perpetuation of harm and division and divisiveness and lies are not conducive to human thriving. You need to be gone. People who abuse power don't belong in power. It's easy to single out a public figure who seems to almost enjoy being unliked. It's another thing sometimes to learn to like ourselves. In my meditation training, we teach a meditation called Metta Loving Kindness. I know some of you are familiar with it. In the meditation, we do this work of offering to others phrases of love. We say, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be comfortable in your mind and your body. The original form of this meditation that was then taught to Westerners from indigenous practitioners and teachers in Asia, particularly Burma and Thailand, begin the exercise with saying, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be comfortable in my mind or my body. But the teachers, after teaching here in the Western society, realized that there is so much shame and guilt that people struggle with sometimes that they have a hard time being able to offer that love to themselves. And so the way we're taught to teach this now is that we offer it to other people and then eventually come back to people once our heart is softened up so that we can say, may I be happy, may I be healthy. It's an interesting juxtaposition to learn. As we continue to look at this melding of justice and love and liberation, I continue to imagine that wonderful story that I told in the very beginning of building relationships, building loving relationships, building relationships of intimacy and understanding and asking permission and being kind to one another, as our young person mentioned earlier, that sometimes the things that are going on in our lives take time to unfold. Sometimes they're really hard. And by recognizing the harshness, the difficulty that we all are in the midst of, we grow love, we grow liberation, and just as we say at our candles, we grow closer to each other and becoming one. Blessed be. Amen. I now invite you to sing our closing song. You want to introduce it, Sue? Sure.
Hymn number 346. Would you please come and sing a song with me?
Come sing a song with me. Sing a song with
As we extinguish our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, symbol of faith, hope, love, and connection, our rose in the wintertime, let us be mindful that although our worship time has come to an end, our service to each other and the world has just begun. Blow that out. Thank you. I now invite you to join in singing our benediction.